Hey everybody, Jeff aka GCurse here. Welcome to another installment of Unsolved Mysteries Commentary. Today I will be giving you my thoughts about the case of the Queen Mary. The Queen Mary is a case that kept a lot of people awake at night. It is a ghost case. Basically, we have a ship that's haunted. This case ranks right up there along with cases like the St. James Hotel and the Tallman House. This case was actually voted for. Wrong one. Sorry, guys. I actually held a poll. I held a poll for a few weeks to see what the next installment of Unsolved Mysteries commentary would be, and people voted for the Queen Mary. I wanted to say thank you to everybody who voted. So today we are going to be hearing about the Queen Mary. Let's take this off. Yeah, this is a case that I love this case. I love this case. I would consider this to be like the top five on my list of top of Unsolved Mysteries ghost cases. This is definitely a top five. Uh, it's really hard to place it in that list. I do know for sure that the top two has to be Allman House in St. James Hotel, but following those two, right near those two is the Queen Mary. And yeah, so I cannot wait to actually get into this case, which I'm going to be doing right now. Okay, so let's get this going, shall we? 3, 2, 1.
This is the Queen Mary, now permanently moored in Long Beach, California.
Okay, right off the bat, I have to say I love the atmosphere that they are already starting. You know, normally it takes a minute or two to really build up the atmosphere. But when it comes to this case, you can hear it's like right off the bat that I'm not sure what instrument that was. So I want to say it sounds like a harp, but I may be wrong. I'm not an instrumental or instrument type of person. But to me, that sounds like it could be a harp. I may be wrong. I may be wrong. But I mean, the minute that they started, with the segment, bam, it hits with the music. This is what I really love about Unsolved Mysteries. That they basically, really knew this time frame for Unsolved Mysteries, season 1, season 2. They really knew how to get people going, basically.
On her decks and in her corridors, people have seen and heard things they can't explain.
I'd been here about 14 years when I'd first had the first experience with actually seeing what I thought to be a ghost.
Now, the question is ultimately in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen, do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in ghosts? I've had there's times that I want to say I believe in ghosts, and there's times I want to say I do not believe in ghosts because it's like my mind is of two different people, I guess you could really say. Like I remember times when I thought I saw a ghost when I was younger. But then as I get older, I'm like, ghosts don't exist. If there were ghosts, they would show up, Show yourself, ghost, it's just like I said, part of me wants to believe it, then part of me doesn't want to believe it. Either way, if you do or you don't, that's okay. I just hope that people can appreciate how they are able to craft this case and everything.
It was a December morning. I was in the work area, and for some reason I picked up a cup of coffee, went out to the table, and there was a lady sitting there. I was so fascinated by her dress.
Okay, I'm wanting to pause it when it
Appeared
gets
to
up to the
be in a
face.
late afternoon cocktail type dress from the 40s.
Okay, what I love here is the fact that basically you have this ghost, and it's like a static image almost. and the waitress, she just goes up and serves her, and the person is not animated at all. The ghost is not animated at all. It's just like literally standing right or sitting right here, like. And the waitress comes and brings her coffee, even though there's no movement at all from this ghost, you know. But I do have to admit, for that being a ghost, she looks pretty nice. I do have to say so myself.
She had dark hair, rolled at the sides, no makeup on. She seemed to be very pale, but
Well, yeah, because she's a ghost.
I never saw a movement. I left the table, went up about 10 feet, turned around because I wanted to take another look, and there was nothing there.
That's when I would quit my fucking job. That's when I'd be like, okay, I'm done. Oh God, I can't recall what case it was. I think it could have been either the St. James Hotel or the General Wayne Inn. But there was a guy who was walking past, it was like a little chest of drawers or whatever you want to call it. And he talked about how a head appeared, and he was on camera, and then he goes, "I saw something. I saw a head. I saw a head." That would make me want to leave my job, ladies and gentlemen. That would make me like, okay, I am here to be a cook. I'm here to be a waiter. I'm here to be a janitor. Nowhere did I think I'd be seeing, decapitated heads or mysteriously disappearing ladies. That I'm not paid for that sort of shit.
I am probably the last person that should have had these experiences because I'm such a skeptic.
Have you noticed that a lot of these people who have these encounters with like ghosts or UFOs are often the most skeptical of people?
One day I was standing on the stairs of the pool, and out of the corner of my right eye, I saw a woman, probably in her 60s or 70s.
She's black and white. I love how I don't think they mentioned that she's black and white at all in this video. It's like she's literally looking at this ghost. It's black and white, and I don't think she really until she goes downstairs to check it out. She doesn't realize, hey, this person's black and white. It looks like, this isn't right, ladies and gentlemen.
Black and white.
Oh, she did mention black and white. Okay.
So I went down the stairs and around the pillar expecting to find her standing there, and she wasn't anywhere to be found. It was only a matter of seconds. She couldn't have gone anywhere.
Several others besides Carol and Nancy say they have seen or heard ghosts here in the Queen Mary's first-class pool. How do we explain these sightings by reportedly well-balanced, level-headed people?
I like how they tried to spin it as, well, only crazy people see ghosts. Only crazy people see UFOs. All these other level-headed people, they're okay. It's the crazies that see the ghosts and the UFOs.
They simply result from the power of suggestion, stimulated by an eerie location. Some parapsychologists believe that all locations are haunted. That is, they retain memories of past events, as some people with psychic sensitivities, or ESP, experience as hauntings. Whatever the explanation, the Queen Mary seems to be inhabited by something ethereal.
I like when I'm not sure what it is, but when he said ethereal, that's like, damn, that's a good word. That's a good fucking word.
That has been seen and heard, but not explained.
Oh, I'm happy and gay 'cause I'm sailing away.
The Queen Mary took her maiden voyage on May 27, 1936, and transported the titled and elite from both sides of the Atlantic.
The Queen Mary, how'd you like to come with me?
I'm wondering where they get this old classic videos from. It's like, where this has to be. Well, it's archival, of course, but I'm wondering where they found it.
During that 5-day voyage, the Queen Mary was a floating party, a living symbol of luxury travel.
A British crew, so when I go over the sea, the Queen Mary takes me.
In the Second World War, the Queen Mary was turned into a troop ship. Due to her ghostly gray camouflage, she was ironically nicknamed the Gray Ghost.
Can you imagine what that'd be like, like working as a person, like say as a, one of the maintenance worker, I don't want to say maintenance, you were employed to work on the Queen Mary before she was drafted into the Second World War, and then all of a sudden you're told, okay, we're gonna have to let you go. And you're like, well, why? Did I do something wrong? Oh, no, the ship is now going to be used as a ship during the war. It's like, wow, that has to be weird. Like, also, like, I'm wondering if they used, because it said it was like a troop ship or whatever. I'm wondering, like, was it just meant to, like, as to move soldiers from one battlefield to another, because it looked like it actually had weapon emplacements. I'm not sure. Did they actually put weapons on the Queen Mary, or was that a ship that was just like to like a normal warship? I don't know.
After the war, she reverted back to her former glory and crossed the ocean a total of 1,001 times. In the over 30 years the ship was at sea, she witnessed 4 births and at least 49 recorded deaths. After her arrival in Long Beach in 1967, one of the first people to work on board was Marine Engineer John Smith.
Part of my duties was to check and learn this ship thoroughly, and so I explored it in the evenings on my regular day's work was done.
His job took him into the remote regions of the ship's bow.
I would love nothing more than to have a job like this where it could possibly be just myself working in a huge empty ship. I would love to do something like that where basically, you could get, lost for hours just working. You lose track of time. You don't know if it's like daylight, if it's nighttime. You don't know like what's going on outside because you're in the deepest, darkest places of the ship, and with nobody around, you would only have like that ambient sound of, say, like the motor running, if the motors were running, or you would hear like the rocking of the ship, the creaking of the metal. I would really love to have had a job like that. It showed that he had a flashlight with him. Of course, you're going to need a flashlight when you're in the deepest, darkest points of this ship. I know what flashlight I would like to have. This is a flashlight. I know. Oh, it does show up. I wasn't sure if this would actually show up on the webcam. This is my flashlight. I've had it for a couple years now, and I love it a lot. It is rechargeable, and it actually has various different. It actually has. Let's see here. Sorry about that. Okay, there you go. That's like the lowest setting, but you can. It has like various. You can zoom it in. You can zoom it out. It's a nice. It's a nice flashlight that has helped me a lot over the last couple years, and that is what I would like to have with me if I had this job. It's just something about this job that I wish that I could have had.
And several times over a 2-month period, he heard something where there should only have been silence. He heard the sounds of metal tearing, water rushing, and then men screaming.
Can you imagine what it would be like for the worker when they first hear that? When you first hear that, you automatically think it's real and that it's happening right now, So you probably hear like metal tearing, and then you hear the water, and you start looking around. It's like, oh my god, You start running through. You start running through all these corridors. It's like a maze, possibly. You're running, and you're looking, to try to find the people that are screaming. You're trying to find the water that's rushing in. And then you realize it's not happening. I think that could, really disorientate people who have not heard it for the first time. and then after a few times they get used to it. That's the way at least I think of it. You know, like the more you hear it, the more you get used to it. But it's like that very first time that could cause so much chaos for the person who's working down there.
It sounded like there had been a rupture of the ship's hull. It was frightful. I went up to the extreme bow section of the ship. The sound was here, but there was no water. Had nothing to cause it.
Well, I know one thing, my fat ass gonna get through those portholes.
I don't believe in supernatural things, but in all my experiences as a marine engineer, I've never seen anything like this.
Years later, Smith read about a wartime tragedy, the Queen Mary's accidental collision with a British cruiser named the Kurosawa.
Okay, it looks, is that Queen Mary or is that the Kurosawa?
Over 300 men were killed. The Queen Mary's bow sliced the Kurosawa in half.
Ouch, holy shit.
After I read that article, I was so shook up and so overwhelmed. The very area I heard that mysterious water rushing was this exact same area that was damaged when the ship hit the Curacao. I said, this is what it would have sounded and felt like if I had been in that compartment at the time. But I knew it couldn't be. That was 30 years earlier. It couldn't be anything.
Over the years, dozens of sightings have been reported. Late one night, in the pool area, maintenance supervisor Kathy Lubb and a co-worker heard mysterious sounds.
Okay. After that, we came into the pool, and I heard giggling, sound of a little girl or a child playing in the area. And at that point, I noticed there was splashing.
Okay, now, when it came to these earlier episodes of Unsolved Mysteries, prior to the massive explosion of CGI and green screen, I always wondered how some of these special effects were done. Like, say, for this example here that you saw, like, water splashing. Basically, what I think they could have done was that they zoomed in on a specific portion of the pool, and then off camera, they had either people with buckets kind of throwing water, or they actually had, you know, people in the pool itself kind of splashing the water. And then they overlaid the sounds of the kids laughing and everything. That's how I think that this scene right here was done. I don't think it was anything like really that difficult to do. It was just a couple people off screen kind of splashing water, possibly. Now, this next scene here, which I'm going to turn off my camera and show you guys so you can see it, because I'm not sure if it's actually going to show. So hold on, let's get to it right now.
The splashing stopped, the giggling continued, and we observed the footprints of a small child walking across into the locker room.
Okay. Oh, you can actually see it. Okay, so it's like right here. There's some footprints. Now, I think that was a little bit more difficult if they did not use because I don't think CGI was available during the mid to late 80s. It may have been, but I don't think it was, because I thought that CGI and all that really became prominent with Terminator 2 Judgment Day. However, what I think they did here, that you can see the footprints, I think that they took like the best way to say it is like oh god, what's it called? Oh god, I can't recall what it's called now. It's like where you take like one scene at a time and you change it. They used to do it with like models and toys and everything. Oh god, I can't recall what. Still motion. I think that's what it's called. I may be wrong about that, but that's what I think they did. I think that they took took one scene, had a footprint. They did another scene, added another footprint. A third scene, added another footprint. Fourth scene, added another footprint, and then they kind of merged it all together. And then they played the video like that, and that's how you got the feet and everything. See, there they go. See, that's what I think it was like. Boom, 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 boom. Each footprint you saw was an individual scene itself. Like they would start recording, they'd do the footprint, they would stop recording, they'd do it, do another footprint, start, so forth and so forth. Still creepy as fuck. Don't get me wrong, that was still creepy as fuck.
I know that I saw what I saw. I'm not sure exactly why I saw it, but I know it was there.
Maybe it's because the ship was trying to tell her something. It could be that, if, because they mentioned how memories are kind of stored in the locations. Maybe it's just the ship's way of telling you its story. Like back when the ship first launched, like everybody from little children to the senior citizens used to ride the ship, and these were one of the happier memories that the ship was able to maintain, was of children who were playing in the pool.
Several unexplained encounters have occurred in Shaft Alley, deep within the ship, near the engine room. Here, in 1966, during a routine fire drill, a man named John Pedder was crushed to death in a watertight door.
Oh God, I cannot think of a worse way to die. Can you imagine doing your job? You're crossing a a portal or whatever you want to call it, and the door closes and crushes you. Oh God. That makes me actually cringe, it's like, ugh. Oh God. There was a case on Unsolved Mysteries. I cannot recall what the case was. I think it was a lost loves case where a guy was he was like a train track engineer, I guess you could say. Basically, he worked on the train tracks, and him and some coworkers were installing. I think they were either installing or repairing the train tracks. Well, a switch got flipped, and his foot was in between two tracks. One of the operators accidentally flipped the switch, and the track actually closed on the guy's leg. It actually crushed and shattered his ankle. That's what this reminds me of. It's just that you're stuck and you can't do anything. Whereas the guy's ankle was broken, shattered. Sadly, he was able to live still. This other guy, he was literally crushed to death. Ugh. Oh God, I can't think of a worse way to die. Almost there's other ways that that are worse. But I mean that has to be like the most painful way, I guess you could say. Hold on. What? There it goes. Ah, the gears. Ah!
Some believe Pedder still haunts Shaft Alley.
Shaft? You're damn right.
What'd they say he was?
It was down here in Shaft Alley somewhere.
Both tour members and employees have experienced hauntings in Shaft Alley.
Blue coveralls and the beard.
I'm going to say it this time. I'm not going to say
blue,
that.
blue coveralls, and he had a beard. There was two different tour groups that said it.
I had a second experience down in Shaft Alley. It was about 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the evening. I was working in the capacity of a lead guide, which meant my job was to close down the tour route and make sure that there weren't any stragglers behind. And I don't know why I turned around, but I turned around, and standing right behind me on the step was a man. He had blue overalls. They were dirty. When I stepped aside to let him go by, he wasn't there.
I've said this before and I'll say it again. I am a very I really value my personal space. The only time I can understand if somebody gets real close to me is like, say I'm at my job and one of my students walks over to me, and even in that case, I kind of remind them, hey, we got personal space. Let's maintain personal space. If I'm out in like the general public and I'm off the clock, and somebody gets that close to me, I make it known. I'm like, hey, back the fuck off. Back the fuck off. So this would be an ultimate test to see if this was a ghost. If I was on that escalator and I kind of looked over my shoulder and this guy was like really right next to me, I'd be like, hey, do you fucking mind? Give me a few steps, you know? And if the person doesn't move, then I kind of figure that he's a ghost.
He was gone. I don't necessarily believe any other ghost stories that other people have come up with. I only know what I saw, and I only believe what I saw.
I can never figure that out, you know? It's like, why is it that people, even people who are admitted, you know, like skeptics, like this lady, I think she said earlier in the video that she really didn't believe in ghosts. Why is it that when a skeptic starts to believe that there are ghosts, you know, that there are ghosts, you know, they start to believe it, all of a sudden it's like, well, I know what I saw, and, you know, they may or may not. Why is it that they are still skeptics when other people have ghost encounters? You know, even though she admitted that, you know, it was a ghost and everything, why can't she believe that these other people also had ghost encounters? It's always a weird thing. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, UFOs. Yeah, I saw UFO. Those people, I don't believe that thing. You know, it's like, dude, you're literally saying you admit you saw a ghost, but you don't believe that other people do.
With my own eyes.
Last month, Unsolved Mysteries brought to the Queen Mary a team of experts who've spent decades investigating hauntings. Using sophisticated recording equipment, they would attempt to verify the eyewitness accounts.
Head out, and as soon as I got around the corner, it started again. He came in here and he came out as well.
Danish-born William Roll is one of the world's leading authorities on poltergeists.
I'm often asked the question.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm confused because if I remember correctly, in the case of the Tatum house, didn't they say that poltergeists are more they are actually created by the people themselves? It's like a psychological projection, I guess you could really say, that the human is doing. That doesn't seem to be a poltergeist issue with this location. This seems to be like a ghost case. You know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe poltergeist could be multiple things, but they made it sound like, if I remember correctly, it was a Tatum house. That poltergeist is something like that a person projects, basically. Sorry.
Do you believe in ghosts? And what I expect I will be asked, you know, when I finish this investigation, are there ghosts on this ship? And these are questions that I cannot answer.
No, absolutely not.
Tony Cornell has researched paranormal activity for 25 years.
I am a skeptic, but at the same time I must allow for the fact that other people who are very sane and sensible have seen things and expect.
Once again, here you go back to the, well, normally sane and sensible people don't see ghosts. It's all those it's the crazies, ladies and gentlemen. The crazies are the ones that see the ghosts and the UFOs and the little green men. It's all the crazies. Us sensible people, we never see stuff like that.
Things. The apparitional stuff, I think, is probably the most interesting. The stuff in the pool and the stuff in Shaft Alley look as if they are repeated cases so often that they must be genuine.
Cornell set up his surveillance equipment. William Rowe led a team of psychics on board. All 6 claimed to know nothing about the ship's history or about the haunting occurrences.
Okay, call me a critic, or call me a skeptic, I guess you could really say, whatever you want to, yeah. I refuse to believe that people never know something like these people. They said that they did not know the history of the ship at all. You're telling me that not once before they were even asked to do this segment, that none of them ever researched or looked into the Queen Mary? These people have histories with ghost cases and all that. You're telling me that that none of these people never ever even looked up the Queen Mary, that they could have been at home reading a newspaper. They could have had a blurb about the Queen Mary, and then all of a sudden, from that little blurb, they started to research it even just a little bit. You're telling me that nothing like that ever happened? I don't believe that at all, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry, I just do not believe that at all. It kind of reminds me of the people who react to really old movies, like let's say the Terminator or The Crow, and they're like, oh, and these are people who are like in their 30s, their 40s. They're like, oh, I never watched this movie at all. This is my first time viewing. Really? Really? You're telling me from your childhood to now, you never watched The Terminator, you never watched The Crow, you never watched Titanic, you never watched Jurassic Park? Fuck off with that. Just be honest. Be honest. Say that you watched this movie. Say that you loved watching this movie when you were younger. You know, people are there for your reactions. They don't care if it's your first time watching something. You know, every time I hear somebody say, this is my first time watching Friday the 13th, I always have to be like, really? Is it really your first time? Yes, I admit I'm an asshole. I'm not going to deny it. It's just, it drives me nuts when people say, oh, I never watched something before. Come on, just be fucking honest. Just be honest, say you have. People, like I said, people value honesty, you know. It's a lot easier to remember the truth than it is to remember a lie.
Armed with maps and their psychic sensitivity, they struck off in many different directions, alone.
This is something I would love to do. You know, Jeff, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you some recording equipment. We're going to give you like an audio recorder and a little a camcorder. We want you to walk around this old ship. Go wherever you want. Just go wherever you want. You want to go down into the deepest, darkest portions of the ship? That's fine. You want to go up to the smokestacks? That's awesome. Just record whatever you find. Record. Even if it doesn't seem like it's going to be important at all, record it. We're giving you 6 hours of video of a VCR tape, whatever, We want that motherfucker filled, okay? The audio recorder can record 3 hours. We want that thing filled. Just record. And I'd be like, sure, give it to me. Yeah, I'd love to walk around this shit, I don't mind doing it. Hell, give me the camcorder.
After this search, the psychics gathered together to compare notes. Though some had nothing to report, others sensed a great deal of activity that coincided with eyewitness reports.
The bow of the ship. Did you mention something about a collision or something like that?
Yeah, I felt a collision.
I see.
I felt the impression of a collision.
I see.
You know the history of the Queen Mary?
No.
Sure.
I don't.
Yes.
But I definitely felt the movement of the ship, and I felt the jerking hit and the sensation through the body, and I did hear footsteps.
I see.
I see. I see. I see. I love 80s. I love the 80s because back when, back in like this time of Unsolved Mysteries, they actually brought on the actual people, like for these reenactments and everything. Holy shit, you can tell that a lot of these people, they were not actors, so sometimes they would repeat the same word over and over again, or the same mannerisms over and over again. Kind of like how I do. I'm not even going to go, and act like I don't. There are times I will repeat the same word again, like the word and, or like. It's just something I love about this show back in their earlier seasons.
Let's go to the next one.
In Shaft Alley, one psychic sensed a 20-year-old tragedy.
Janice, would you describe your experiences in that area?
I felt that there had been, not that I was hearing it physically, but that at times someone could hear a very rhythmical banging, as if someone had a wrench or a large piece of iron banging against a wrench.
A wrench?
A wrench.
Right.
That was the...
Not a hammer?
No, it would be a wrench. someone had apparently gotten trapped.
It is a fact that
Hansen
some psychics
in some
manage to
machine.
pick up
Hence,
things,
the
and you
very
can't
thing
quite
that
see how they got
to
it.
call attention
But you've got to be
was found
suspicious
there.
about this, because there's a thing
There's all
called
sorts of
feedback.
sounds.
I mean, I've met enough mediums now who've read what they want to tell you in the newspaper.
And this is kind of like what I'm talking about when it comes to like all the people who do the first time reacting, you know. It's like, oh, come on. I'm not saying that everybody, you know, has seen, you know, has not seen a movie. I'm pretty sure, you know, that there may be one or two people that haven't seen a movie, but when you have hundreds of people say, oh, I never watched this movie. Oh, please, I do not believe that at all.
One investigator did find something. While William Roll was surveying the bow area, he heard some unusual sounds he couldn't explain.
There was the sound of two men talking, and it was heard by the security guard who brought me there and by myself, and it seemed to come from the lower levels of the bow of the ship.
You getting any sounds of...
In
If I remember correctly, the bow of the ship was where it cut through the Kurosawa. So it could have been what they were hearing at that point was like an imprint of the people who died during that collision.
tape recorder in the bow area, at the same spot where the voices were heard.
It's 3:15 a.m.
For most of the night, this is what was recorded. Nothing. In the early morning, for a full 2 minutes, the tape recorder picked up sounds where no sounds should be. This is a condensed version of the actual tape.
What we're hearing right now, I think it was a lady who said that she was hearing the rhythmic hitting on the walls and everything. I'm wondering if that's what she heard.
Earlier, the bow had been sealed off. The researchers attempted to duplicate the sounds through mechanical means. They were unsuccessful.
What we can conclude is that there is a physical source for the sounds. Now, is it parapsychological, or does it have some other kind of source? And that still remains uncertain.
Man has had this kind of experience as long as recorded history. It is a human experience. It's going to continue going on, and somebody's got to look at it.
Okay, is he talking about, because I'm a little bit confused here, ladies and gentlemen. Is he talking about the ship being haunted, or is he talking about just hauntings in general, you know? Like, I'm a little bit confused with this guy here.
It's a challenge, and it's a mystery that has got to be solved.
What can explain these hauntings? Overactive imagination? A quest for publicity? Or something more intangible? Something supernatural?
Is Rubber Stack trying to insinuate that the ghosts are actually doing this for publicity purposes? You know, you would think that if a person died, that they would want to be kind of like left, you know, rest in peace or whatever. No, these ghosts, they came back and they want to make a quick buck. That's what it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Is the Queen Mary haunted? We cannot say yes, but we cannot say no.
Okay, so that was the case of the Queen Mary. Okay, guys, here, let me take off my headphones. Let me put this over here. There we go. It is now time for us to go to the Unsolved Mysteries Wiki. And this is where I'm going to go and see if there's been any updates about the Queen Mary. Okay, let's close that out. Okay, so the Queen Mary, the location is Long Beach, California. The date is 1936 to present, and the description is coming up. How long has this entry been here on the Unsolved Mysteries Wikipedia page, and yet they still only have coming up? I really should get in there and give a little bit of a description. It's like, really, really, come on, guys. Like, I could run this thing a little bit better, I think. Okay, so we already know the case, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to scroll down. Okay, background. We know the background. Investigations. Okay, so let's start with the extra notes. Hold on. There you go. Extra notes. Here, let's zoom in. Okay. This case first aired on the October 26, 1988 Halloween episode of Unsolved Mysteries, along with the Tallman House, which is like one of the most, that is one of the spookiest cases ever from Unsolved Mysteries, which I will be covering on Halloween. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Halloween, I will be covering or giving my thoughts on two cases. One case is the Tallman House, and the other case is the St. James Hotel. I will see you all on Halloween for those. The John Wayne Inn and the Tatum House. Hold on, is everything okay? Everything looks okay. The Queen Mary was used to film parts of the Poseidon Adventure. I did not know that. It was also featured on the shows Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters. The Atlantic Paranormal Society documented a variety of minor occurrences, culminating with footage of a bed being disturbed. But video analysis revealed that their camera was tampered with to create the effect. Yeah, if I remember correctly, didn't Ghost Adventures or Ghost Hunters, I can't recall which one it was. Maybe it was Ghost Hunters. Anyway, didn't one of them get proven to be kind of like fraudulent, that they were kind of faking what they were seeing? Let's see here. Some sources state that 338 or 339 men were killed on the HMS Kurosawa. A chef was murdered. A chef was murdered on board during World War II. There were 55 reported deaths on board, and Jackie died in the second class pool. Who the fuck is Jackie? Hold on, let's do a quick search. Oh, okay. It was apparently it's apparently what's one of the ghosts. Oh yeah, I meant with the spirit. Okay. I was kind of wondering, like, who the fuck is Jackie? Okay. Okay. Let's see here. I'm just going to kind of scroll down towards the end, because that's where the most recent stuff will be. In 2008, Time magazine included the Queen Mary among its top 10 haunted places. Sadly, in December of 2011, a 26-year-old woman fell to her death from the ship. In October 2012, author Devlin Westbrook and his assistant stayed on board. While walking in the lower levels, his assistant noticed several cold spots. Later that night, someone touched her on the shoulder while she was getting ready for bed. In 2017, a report describing the Queen Mary's deteriorating condition was released. In April 2018, the ship rented out stateroom B 340 after leaving it closed for years. Oh, sorry. I was okay. After leaving it closed for years, they rented out that room. In May 2020, the ship was closed again due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In April 2023, she was reopened. In October 2024, magazine editor Julie Jordan stayed on the Queen Mary with two friends. Several motion sensors in their room were triggered, even though no one was nearby. At dinner, Jordan looked through a window into a locked, empty room and saw a shadow move to the right and then walk away from the window. The Queen Mary continues to operate several haunted attractions such as Haunted Encounters and the Grey Ghost Project tours, Ghost Project tours, seances, and paranormal investigations. The tours take a fact-based approach to the legends using information from the ship's logs. Okay, is anything down here? Okay. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That was the case of... Here, let's do this. Let's do this real quick. There we go. That was the case of the Queen Mary. Now let's do this. There we go. And I was actually pretty I'm pretty happy I finally was able to give you my thoughts about this case. This is, like I said, if I did not have the job that I do have, and if I could actually pick a different job, possibly working as like a maintenance person or some sort of repair guy on the Queen Mary, that'd be something I would like to do just based on the fact that I could possibly be able to hear or see a ghost. We are at the end of this video, ladies and gentlemen, and I want to say thank you to everybody who took the time out of their day to watch this video. It means a lot to me, and I hope that, if anything, that this case could have made you interested in the case of paranormal activities and everything. But as always, it's time to go. But before we hit that road together, ladies and gentlemen, before we start that long trek down to the beginning of a new week, that's right, work week is upon us, it is time to tell you what the next installment of Unsolved Mysteries Commentary is going to be. And this is a case that a person was, I'm thinking that he was hoping that this case was going to win the poll. And you know, he actually asked me, he goes in the comment section of my YouTube channel, he said that he hoped that I would cover a specific case, and I like to give my viewers what they want. That is why the next installment of Unsolved Mysteries Commentary, it is going to be the case of Dave Box. This case is one of the most heinous cases I've ever seen from Unsolved Mysteries. This case shows exactly how cruel people can be towards each other. Basically, what you have here is an individual who could have become a part-time, who could have become a whistleblower, basically. It's believed that this guy was going to expose a company for doing some bad stuff, and it is believed that he was assaulted and lowered into a smelting pool. That's right, he was lowered into this real hot furnace, or whatever you want to call it. Upside down, that's what you see here behind me. It's believed that this guy was awake when it could have happened. It's fucking cruel. But anyway, the next installment of Unsolved Mysteries Commentary, I present to you the case of Dave Box. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you next time. My name is Jeff, aka GCurse, wishing you all a great day, and stay safe, everybody. Peace out.